is. So I want to prove or disprove myself. Is there anyone who has ever seen me or anyone that knows me? Anti twewana nnyo ndi celeb kumbe munsi tewali akumanyi. Oh, who said knows me? I hope we have two mics. I don't give out mine. I'm a village boy. You know, we village boys, they we enjoy the microphones. When we get it, we first do, and then we're like, and then oh, it is working.
Hello.
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 You said you know me.
Mwambu Musa is your name.
Hey, that one they just told you.
No.
What do you know about me?
You studied in St. Francis Senior Secondary School for the Blind Murderer.
You can end it at that.
Thank you.
Ndaba jolaga. Abana banonya abantu abasomelera ku King's College Buddo. Okay, now. Thank you. Friends, I'm so glad to be here. My session was supposed to start at 10:30. But as I speak, it's 11:20. So I have 1 hour and a half with you. So whoever went to a better school than mine, you are sure that I have to end my session by 12:50. Oh. Nihinga checho. 12:20 to 12, 11:20 to 12, that is 40 minutes. 12:20, 60. But then zezo 30, 40, 50. Okay. My session with you is going to be edutaining. So edutaining means that it will be educative but also entertaining. So let's not get entertained a lot, but also pick out a few aspects of learning. I am glad that this morning you were talking about mental health, stress disorders, depression, schizophrenia, among others. Now me, I want to talk about disability inclusion. But before we get started, ladies and gentlemen, no one should lie to you that I can see any of you physically. Nobody should even lie to you. I have the small eyes, yes, they are there, round by nature. Bwengamba ko mwana tasobola gana balooza ebiso byebyo naye nga tebyakweyiyya. So I'm not seeing any of you. So that means I am going to entrust my personal assistant. There's a little girl here. There's a little girl here. And because I call her little, because musingira ke myaka nge 5 mu maaso. So that means I'm a bit older. So she's going to be the one having the powers to select who to give the mic because she has the eyes. The physical eyes. May I have the psychological eyes? For her, she has the physical eyes. Another thing you should get prepared for is a very loud voice. Kubanga mic ngikozesa mu malo. Kati, there are people I had, okay, not speaking loudly in the group here. Now for me, you will speak loudly because njagala fenna tukola amaalo. Era oli bwakugamba ndi eno naye nanyirira. Ng'omanya yanyirira kakati. Teri byakutulimba nti wanyirira nga tosobola kwogerera ku mic ennyo. I'm your fellow youth. And so I want to deal with the youth. Young people for? Young people for? Yeah, man. So this is how we're going to run the session right about now. So big things are going. So we're going to run the disc right about now. And what we are going to do is as follows. Friends, what is this word called disability? But before I introduced myself and I said I'm called Mwambu Musa. I work with Light for the World, Uganda head office, as a disability inclusion advisor. Abariche handi bano bantekako ne mu acting waliwo ka filimu akajja okufuluma mu maaso eyo nga nange neegiriisa. So I am also slightly an actor, but more of my work is spreading disability inclusion. But there's a young lady I saw here called Sharon. Sharon, where are you? Hey, I saw. Where is Sharon? Patricia, take for Sharon the mic. Hey, we have only one mic. Tell the organizers to bring another mic. Switch it on. Check if it's working. Sharon, Kara, lift up your hand. If you're 3 Sharons, lift up your hands. It's okay. Obate walinga manyi twogera ku bu X. Olwokuba wafunayo ka X ka Sharon noloza nti buli woli weekali. Sharon taliwo. Mary chimanyi woli. Mary. So Mary, the answer, the question I'm asking is, according to you, what is disability without using Mr. Google? Just your own insight. When you hear the word disability, what comes in your mind?
I think disability.
You can introduce yourself. Eh?
I'm Mary. I think disability is anything.
Okay, go ahead. Is anything? But do I need a mic? No. No. Oh, for the recording. Because I felt I have the voice. You can boom me. I see people recording and they boom people. Sounds, are they speeding? No. Okay. Say.
Disability is anything that may hinder a person to do the thing in the right way.
To do the things in a right way. So when you have a disability, when you have a disability, it's possible that you do things not in a right way. Okay, thank you. Robert. Asomye? Teyasomye? Mukama. Kabaka mwanga. Barbara. Naye teyasomye? Ate Sarah. Era kale wakiri Sarah. Sarah wasomye. What is disability according to you?
I think
yes.
I think disability is a mental or physical.
Don't worry. Every answer here is correct. We are youth. Young people for young people.
Mental or physical.
Oh, you're still continuing. She has handed over the mic already. Patricia, yasomye? Patu so kombulire. What do you understand by the word disability? Before I go to the gentleman.
I'm handing the mic back to Sarah.
I think it is a mental or physical condition that limits a person to perform
Mwana nze tontya, just nze nange ndinga gwe mwana, sina nnyo. Just eswaga lyeriri mu kyenda, okitegeera waliwo naye. Limits a person. Okay, that limits a person. Thank you. John. Now, John, you're answering a different question. Have you heard about the word impairment, and what does it mean according to you?
This impairment. Actually don't know, okay. But I've ever heard about it.
Whom would you want to answer? Wanji?
Shama.
Did you say Sharon?
Shama.
Manya gaswaga. Muwo muzindalo sijja kwetantala. Shama? Okay. Yes, Shama. What is impairment?
Maybe if I will first go back and answer for the disability.
Okay, go ahead.
You allow me. Yeah, for the disability, I think it's a condition of a body that hinders someone from doing certain activities.
A condition of a body that hinders someone from doing some activities. Thank you, that name. Now, we are in this peer academy, and all of you are in this academy because you have passion to serve young people. My other question is, if a session on disability inclusion is not a time waste, why? Do we need this session? Why? Patricia labaye cyane ekikulabikidde obulungi ekirenziye bino ebiwanvu azina ebimpi ebiwanvu ebyakolamu okitegeera nawe ekinakugamba akagambo gambe nti ekale omuwa akazindaalo omugambe
akazindaalo bakankwasizza dda
sabula engoma jjajja.
Yeah, the reason as to why we need this session is because these people with disability live amongst us, some of us, and disability is at times acquired later on in life. It's not only at birth, but later on in life. So we need to learn how to live with these people, relate with them, and all that. I guess this is the reason why we need this session.
So you said, what was your name?
Muvunyi Francis.
Mazima. Thank you, Francis. There's another one, eh?
Yes. My name is Blackie, but my birth names are Sunny Jeremiah.
Oh.
Yes.
Jerry.
Yes. Why this session is because we need to change our mindset towards the people who are having disabilities, because at a certain point is that you think they're from a different world and you're from another world. So I believe the mindset should change.
The mindset must change. Thank you. You see?
There is another hand.
Hey, there's another hand. The last one now.
Okay.
Yes.
Japheth are my names.
The name is?
Japheth. Actually, this session is very important because, first of all, very many people who are impaired don't accept the disability that they do. So when such a education is carried out, it helps out in such a way that when people are trained here and then maybe they go to the community and they do community services, they really help people who are impaired to accept themselves and really manage to cooperate and be inclusive. There are situations where you find that people don't want even, they are just like hens at home. They don't go anywhere because they don't want to accept themselves and they don't want to be inclusive in nature. So such peer education is very important. Thank you.
Now, don't give any other person a mic. That is the correct reason. And these are the correct reasons as to why we're here. Number one, you people are going to offer peer-to-peer support. Am I wrong? At the end of the day, you are going to meet people with different impairments. And so, there is a reason to have such a session. And that means you still hear me? Even at the back? I just wish I can hear the yes or the no. Do you still hear me? Yes. Very good. Now, you need to understand more about disability because one, you're going to provide peer-to-peer support. And among the people that you're going to meet will include people like Musa. They will include some of your colleagues who are here with impairments. But again, you are going to work with your colleagues here that are in the same session. The point is, how are you going to support them? If you're going to show other people how to use a condom, either it is a kiss condom, or it is a what type, apple, what, exactly. How are you going to show me who cannot see how they use a condom? How am I going to be just free? Never to be okay, call you out, I don't know how I see the head, you know. I was a white carry one. Okay, so they told me they're streaming live, so we'll have the mic on. But it should talk. If I see it not talking, I will not use it. So, we are saying that at the end of the day, you need to understand if someone is visually impaired, cannot see, how are you going to practically demonstrate to them how they use reproductive health services? I will come to you, and because of your mindset, I ask for a box of condoms and you ask me, and that means your mindset has not changed. Now, by 12:50 today, if I leave this session and your mindset has not changed, please report so that I am not paid. Because I need to live here when you have a changed mindset about disability. Now, first of all, I don't have a PowerPoint presentation. Why? Not because I can't make it, but because I want us to share practically. And because I want to use more life experience than academician kind of experience. I could get all these quotations of professors, doctors, ETCs, and I come and bombard you with them. But they are not necessary in this point. You need to hear my own experience. Nti yo waye, gweyeito wakabi, kademu akanyirira wakafuna otya nenkuliramu. Nga sigenze mbitabo. That is why I am not carrying anything called a projector, even when my computer is in my bag. I will have another co-facilitator. He's also someone who has ever been in this academy. But first, you will get the notes. What is disability? Now, disability and impairments are often used as if they are alike. And you will hear some people saying, Musa has an impairment, and you will think maybe it's the same with the word disability. But ladies and gentlemen, an impairment is a loss of a function of a body part. For example, if I cannot see, it means my eyes are... Hey, Patricia, wandika ku chat. Impairment is a loss of a function of a body part. So these eyes cannot see, it means they are impaired. Even if they might be as handsome as whose, they are impaired. I might have the hands, but because they cannot hold anything, the hands are impaired. The ears are impaired because they lost their functioning. That is the word impairment. Now, disability is when a person has an impairment and experiences a barrier to do an activity. Do we get the difference? Impairment is a loss of a function of a body part. Now, disability is when this eye cannot see, but in trying to do my day-to-day activities, I interact with a barrier. So meaning that the problem is not my eye not seeing, the problem is not the eye being impaired. It's not the leg being impaired, or the hands, or the brain, or what. The problem that causes a disability is the barrier. I know it is very scientific, especially after break. But I want to make it categorically clear and understandable. If I asked you, any of you, let me do it practically. Where is Annette? You come. Please come. Eva! Owange dala jangu. Jangu amma jangu. You say your name is? Mercy Patience. What a lovely name. Yeah, man. So, Mercy, I want you to stand in the middle of this table. Okay? Now, follow instructions. And first, listen. I want you to cross over to that chart that she has put up. However, I don't want you to pass these ends of the edge of the table. Don't pass at the edge of the table on your left. Don't go under the table. And don't step on top of my table. But I want you to go the other side. Please act. Please act. Don't go this way. Don't come this way. Don't go under. Please don't jump on top of this table. But please go and check on Patricia at the chat area.
I can't do that because there is a barrier here.
Because there is a barrier. Can you try to explain what I was explaining using that example?
Okay, let me use the exact example that I've been told to go to the chat, but there is a table. I cannot go the other side, neither this, whether down or up. So definitely there is no way you're going to reach that because there is something here that is hindering you from reaching the goal.
So meaning the problem is not your pretty body, not your hands, not your legs that could move, not even the eyes. What is the problem?
The problem is the barrier.
The barrier. Give her a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mercy. That is how we can explain disability. We said an impairment is when this eye cannot see, right? But then it becomes a disability when I want to do certain activities and again I interact with a barrier. We are going to understand the different types of barriers. So that means the problem is not the eye, because the eye is just impaired. The problem is the barrier that then brings a disability. So me and you, ladies and gentlemen, have a duty to remove these barriers. And that is why we are having this session. Any questions? Do we get the theory? So there is a mathematical equation. And that mathematical equation says impairment times barriers is equals to disability. My eye not seeing, my leg not managing to move, my ears not managing to hear, coupled with barriers is equals to disability. So me and you need to remove the barriers. The barriers to family planning, the barriers to reproductive health services access, the barriers to accessing health centers, among others. We'll talk about them. Now, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities defines persons with disabilities as those that as includes those who have long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairments, which in interaction with various barriers may hinder their full and effective participation in society like others. So it is not that they cannot do things rightly. They can do things rightly, but they are hindered by certain barriers that affect their full and effective participation like any of you. So who knows? Maybe me or you, we are part of the barriers that needs to be removed. We will understand some of those today. As I speak, I would love to invite Caleb. He's somewhere at the back. Please come over. And one of the sessions I want him to take you through is, what are these types of impairments? Now, remember, before it is a disability, it first becomes an impairment. So you first have this eye that cannot see. And then as you try to interact with the environment, you now meet a barrier that now brings a disability. Vibe mweli banai. Vibe checho kiriya wala. Kalebu, please come over. Iye mwana soko jo chiliemu waliona. So jo kwatemu maiki mwana soko wa vibe na yenkuwe dachika 10 zoka buladi. Bosu samunga nkusala ko waliona kiriya.
This is serious. This vibe is too high, eh? But for male workers, I need a cooler. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Mr. Musamwambu. So my name is Tumwine Caleb. I work with Light for the World as a trainee disability inclusion facilitator, yet to be certified as a full disability inclusion facilitator. But also, I was once part of this academy. Some few years ago, I was in a class of 2018. And I'm glad to be back. We are in a different setting, not this, but all the same, I was part of the academy. And so Musa has given me a very large task, but also with very few minutes. So during the academy, I loved so much to occupy the front seats. And one reason was that I thought maybe they would skip me and look for people behind to answer some of the questions. That was my reason of sitting in front. So I used to sit somewhere like here, on the second row. Probably this is my seatmate. Good morning, Sewa Wanyo. You've occupied my seat. Eh? Hey, he's a woman. Okay, so good morning, madam. I'm Caleb, and you? Okay, so first hold this mic. We have one mic, eh? Okay, please. Immaculate is So Immaculate,
yes.
Don't worry, I'm not going to answer any question. Pick your closest neighbor and give her a mic with him.
I give him a microphone.
Pick your name, or you want to answer?
No.
Neighbor, good morning.
Good morning,
This is a different voice. I'm Caleb, and you?
Jeremiah.
So Jeremiah had answered the question, I think. You pick a neighbor as well. Did you answer a question? He did. Jeremiah, I've got it. You've given it to who? Praise. So praise.
Yes, please.
We have several types of impairments. Is it true?
Yes.
Kindly mention one. The one you know, and give it to another, give the mic to another person as well.
Being deaf.
Huh?
Being deaf.
Being deaf. Thank you very much. Quickly give it to another person. You've given it to Emmanuel. God is with us. We have Christmas as a type of impairment. Yes, Emma?
Yes.
Besides being deaf, what is the other impairment you can think about?
Being blind.
That one. So thank you very much, Emma. So ladies and gentlemen, we have very few minutes, but I just want us to quickly go through these types of impairments. Now, internationally, we have 6 types of impairments which are recognized. However, in Uganda also, we managed to single out other types of impairments. So, Simon, are you in the chat? Oh, you are okay, Patricia. So let us first list them, and then you will ask whatever you don't understand, maybe for more clarification. So the 6 internationally recognized types of impairments, we have visual impairment. That is what Emma was saying, being blind. But as Musa told you, there is a way we term those terms. So, visual impairment, physical impairment, hearing impairment, psychosocial impairment, speech impairment. Am I too fast, Patricia? Speech impairment, and then finally intellectual impairment. How many are those? Thank you very much. So, internationally, those are the main recognized types of impairments. And as I go ahead, you may maybe want some clarification. So, in Uganda, we also have some other impairments we've recognized as time has gone by. So, in Uganda, we also recognize people living with albinism. People living with short stature, we also call them, so people living with short stature or dwarfism, some may prefer that. People living with epilepsy, and those with learning disabilities. So, you realize, and what we have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is that some of these disabilities are visible. For example, as you can see, I am what? I wanted you to skip it and I knocked someone. So, you can see that some of the impairments are visible, as you said. I'm visually impaired. He is visually impaired. You've ever met someone with a physical impairment? But also there are other types of impairments which are not all that visible. For example, what? Among those? Thank you very much. Speech impairment, but also we have the psychosocial impairment. So, it is clear that some of the impairments are visible and others are not visible. But also the other thing is that some of the impairments are irreversible. God has gifted you with that impairment forever. Chances are very few that you will recover from it. But on the other hand, some of the impairments can be treated, basically medically. Yes, for example, God willing, they can operate my eye, and at the end of the day, I see. So, basically, that is what Musa had instructed me to talk about, but also some few statistics here and there around disability. So, it is said, according to the statistics, that there are over 1 billion people worldwide living with any form of disability or impairment. And that makes 15% of the world's population. So you realize that these sessions are not for fun, but there is a group of people we are targeting to help, isn't it? Yes, just imagine 15% of the world's population lives with a certain form of impairment. So 2014, Uganda carried out a population census. Do we remember? Yes. So it realized that 12.4% of the population above 2 years was living with any form of impairment. 12.4%. So you realize that it is also a very big percentage. So now it is believed statistically that the disability prevalence is higher among women as compared to men. Is it discussable or it is true? That disability rates are higher among women as compared to men for factors of which are underlined. And also that disability, the rates of disability are more higher among people in rural areas compared to those in urban areas. Of course, due to underlying factors as well. Probably they don't access easily the medical facilities or due to visible hazards in rural areas as compared to urban settings. I have utilized my 10 minutes given to me by Musa. I humbly return the microphone, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, my brother Caleb. Thank you for this enlightenment. You see, the guy is so brilliant to an extent that for him, he uses his head, and for me, I use the book. So that defines who is more experienced than the other. But thank you very much. So he has listed those types of impairments. Thank you, Caleb. He has listed the number of the types of impairments. I just want to add and say that some of those impairments, like he has told you, some of them are internationally recognized. The first 6. Visual impairment is when someone cannot either see completely or has some partial sight. So for me, I am totally blind. I will not see you anywhere. Don't worry, even if you shower, I will not see you. Unless I touch you, and I would not want to touch you. And then we have people with physical impairment, like he has told you. Those are people that have challenges using their limbs or motor or skeletal movement. Could be the legs, could be the hands, could be that the person has a spinal injury and so they have to use a wheelchair. Now, people with visual impairment benefit a lot from personal assistance, those that are totally blind, audios, and braille. Like what I'm using now is called braille. You touch and then you read. Then those that have partial sight can use, big magnifiers. They can use colored kind of print. They can actually benefit from sunglasses, among others. So all these are types of impairments. Then we have, like he has talked of people with hearing impairment. because I gave him little time, he would have explained to you that we have those that are hard of hearing and those that are deaf. So the hard of hearing can use hearing aids at some point. Others can use captioners. You know captions, eh? Fendatulibana.com. Those little texts that keep moving when someone is speaking. Like those on live stream, there must be captions. Whatever I am speaking is written in text. So those that are deaf with capital D, they do not hear completely, and so they benefit from services of Olivia, sign language interpreter, among others. So that's hearing impairment. Now, to conclude on this session, he has also talked about people with intellectual and psychosocial impairments. Now, the psychosocial impairment is what they were telling you in the morning about mental health. Why is it called psychosocial? It has an aspect of behavior. They told you all those signs, right? Yes. Now, those that have an intellectual impairment, it has nothing to do with behavior. It's about the way they learn and partake information. You hear people saying, my IQ is high, intellectual conscious. So, but people with intellectual impairment at some point are referred to as those with learning impairment because they find barriers when it comes to learning. We have those, like you talked about. I wanted to just say a word about persons living with short stature or little persons. Now, these are people that others want to use certain words like pygmies. Of course, that is disrespectful. We will get there. But a little person or someone living with short stature has an impairment. Why? In Uganda here, when you look at our ATM machines, they are as high as this. So this person cannot operate that ATM machine. And remember, we said an impairment comes when there is a barrier. So that means that ATM machine is high, and so the person cannot operate it. Our switches for lights are as high as this. Even my firstborn, who's 7 years, cannot reach there. And that means this person meets a barrier even to turn on their lights. So in Africa, that will be regarded as a type of impairment. I want to implore you to read more because I am only given 1 hour and a half in a session that I need approximately a whole day. But I want to go to another session if there are no questions. Any questions before we proceed? Please take it.
Thank you. Is autism a condition or an impairment?
Good question. So autism, I will answer directly, is under at some point psychosocial impairment because it has an aspect of behavior. You know, someone gets a hallucination and then screams from nowhere. Or they have attention disorders. Those children, you realize, even when you're teaching them, for them, they might just look at your dress shining, and that is enough. They will not concentrate on what you're saying. So you have to struggle a bit to bring back the attention. So it has bits of psychosocial, but also intellectual impairment. It has not been categorized as a separate type of impairment. Now, for a category to be specified as a type of impairment, it means there are a group of people that have come up and said, for us, like now people with cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is put under physical impairment. But in Uganda here, for them they are saying, for us we are an indigenous group, we have an impairment called cerebral palsy, and they have even formed the association for persons living with cerebral palsy. So meaning that they now do not qualify to be called people with physical impairment in general, but as a separate group. So for now as we speak, autism is still under psychosocial stroke intellectual impairment.
Thanks very much.
I hope I've answered.
Thanks very much. My name is Wills and...
Oh, Louis.
Wills.
Wills.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, we are seeing very many people facing the challenge of impairment, and since you are acting as a perfect example, I really request you kindly to tell us the challenges you are facing from the society and the advice you can give to comfort our friends who are facing the same challenges.
Thank you. Good question. We have a topic on that coming.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm called Doreen. My question is the vitiligo a disability or?
Good question. Now, vitiligo, for those that don't know vitiligo, you see someone, I don't want to, okay, allow me for now describe it this way. Like in Buganda here, they will say that person has been burnt by twins. I'm just trying to give you a visual example of that type of skin. Eh? But for now, those in Uganda, for us to look at them as persons living with albinism. Until they come up and then also say, we want to be an independent type of impairment. I get this information from one of the colleagues that lives with vitiligo. Before she left Uganda, she used to introduce herself as someone living with albinism because that's where she would best fit at that time. The questions are done.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for embracing this session. I want to switch to our next session. Okay, I want us to switch to our next session. And this session will start with a few questions. Praise! Twalira praise Mike. Yes, okay, yagale mwana. So come twalira Mike. Eno bagiyita divoni. Okay, let's switch to our next session. And that is, I want to understand, when you see someone with a disability, what comes in your mind? When you find them walking, praise. When you find someone, don't look at Musa now. Look at someone on Kampala Road. When you find them moving, what comes in your mind? Uh-huh.
Okay, usually I get confused on how they live with such a disability. Yet it's hard for a few people that I know. So I question myself on how they're doing it and they manage to live with such a disability.
You're actually wondering, how are they even managing to live the way they are living? Okay. And what do you quicken to do? Any other person? When you find someone in a wheelchair seated? Uh-huh.
I praise the Lord for my physical ability.
You praise the Lord for your physical abilities, indeed. Okay. And what do you do in praising the Lord? Okay, any other person?
The first thing to come in my mind, I feel sympathy. And I feel like this person needs real help.
What type of help, for example?
It can be in form of rehabilitation.
Okay, thank you. Now, people have seen persons with disabilities in a different way. There are those, when they look at you on the road, the first thing they will see is charity. We have three models. One, charity. You people are going to the community, your peers, and you're going to find these persons with disabilities. But the first thing you want to do when you find me walking on the road is to give me 100 shillings. Bambi! Omusajja tala abakwate ekikumi kikino. No wonder you don't give 50,000. It's a joke. But the first thing people want to do is to give charity. You know, I met a lady, I had just gotten some money. It was 27th, I had earned my salary. I am from the ATM machine. I am loaded back here. Wano onanga wewali, amaja, wano wewali, wano wewali, wano wewali, musoksi ntaddemu, mbuli wamu. And then this lady picks her 1,000. Mukama yebazibwe bambi kwatirako wano. The poor lady might be having 5,000 and then she has to borrow 2,000 shillings to go to Natete, 2,000 to buy some drink, and then 1,000 the lady is giving it to me. The person she's giving is topping on 4 million shillings, meaning I have 4,001,000 shillings. But that is what comes in her mind. When you see someone, give them charity. That is what comes in their mind. Our charity model says, you know, give them food. They just want to eat. They have nothing to do. But I also need a job. But for it says, I just give them food. Charity model. Someone even wants to say, like for me, after completing university in Chambogo, my people said, maybe what we shall do, they didn't know that I have over 5 girlfriends and I was struggling to choose one. So they said, maybe we shall take him to the mosque and then they get for him a partner. Charity. They didn't know that I was struggling. Someone have a preference. We also have a preference. If you ask me, I will tell you nzenjagala ekiwala nga chimpi nga china kabina. Goyagala kumfunira kawanvu ka modo. Njagala chinene nga china kabina. I'm just giving an example, please, gender activists. I'm just saying my preference, not to offend anybody. Because I also know those that want models. Kati goja kuntwala in the mosque and then get for me any, because you think I have to get any. Charity model. Charity model says just give them clothes. They don't need a job. That is why someone will ask you when he finds you with a partner who is visually impaired or with a hearing impairment or what, and they will say, "Naye men are not easy. Why would he impregnate such a woman?" Who told you that for her she didn't want to be impregnated by me? But the first matter is the man is not easy, is bad. Charity. They look at persons with disabilities as those that can't do anything. So me and you might not need to follow the charity model. We also have the medical model, where people look at persons with disabilities as sick. You people are going to go to the villages there, and you don't want to greet someone in a wheelchair by hand. Oyo mulwadde is contaminated. I was seated in a taxi. I was getting a seat in a taxi. And then a gentleman said, "Hey, Bambi, you leave him to sit. He's sick. Let him sit in front." So I sat in front and he was my immediate neighbor. And then suddenly he coughs loudly. I said, oh, my brother, sorry, it is you who's sick. You need to treat yourself. You said I'm sick, but you're very sick. You need to treat yourself. So, that model is also there. Where people even say if you find someone with epilepsy and you help them, you will also contaminate it. It's not true. Epilepsy is just the loss of oxygen in the brain and someone collapses and gets a seizure. But people associate it to several aspects, which is totally wrong. Then we have what we call the social model. The social model says everybody is equal, but society is just the problem. It needs to change its mindset about how they view persons with disabilities. So me and you need to change the way we view persons with disabilities. But the problem is not the impairment, not the eye. The problem is you who is not willing to change and adjust to your own mindset. You look at me and you say, oyonze tankwana. Nenga tomanyi nti ffe tulina, ffe tulina, naye oli agamba kati oyo mutu ate kati mwayiza okwemulisa ku TikTok bannaye. Omusajja gananyirira ate gwe n'owakana. But let's all embrace the social model. Persons with disabilities are equal like any of you. What you only need is to remove the barriers. Now, I'm being rushed, and so I want to go to our next session. Why am I putting a disclaimer that I'm being rushed? In case I am not the best facilitator, know that I was at the pressure of time. That's a disclaimer, even to the organizers. Now, one of the reasons why people say that persons with disabilities are bad and hard to deal with are because of a number of challenges. But before we go to those challenges, this is what the gentleman was asking about certain challenges. I want us to listen to a song, and if possible, stand up and dance. It's okay. That song, as you dance, listen to its message. And then we start our second last session. That song is called Did You Know? And Richie Hand played a very big task in ensuring that it comes on board. Selector, roll the tune right about now. It's a big thing, Zagwan. We're going to start the tune right about now. Selector, run the disc. Neyo juwayo ka BPM wakawa guru ko run the disc right about now. Ni mwana bachali bange kansubile sibaboa mwana. Selector akayimba wekali abasajja nga bambala obudde. We need to hear that song, But as we hear the song, we need to meditate. Okay, run it. Are we hearing? Did we pick? Did we pick anything? We picked something. So go and listen to that song on YouTube. It's there. But that song speaks about quite a number of barriers faced by persons with disabilities. So what are some of the barriers that you understand that persons with disabilities face in your community? If I can have like 4 maximum hands, at least 2 ladies and 2 gentlemen, to tell me some of the barriers that you think limit persons with disabilities from performing like any of you. Okay?
One is discrimination.
Discrimination. Okay?
I think also, you took my answer, but I may think another one.
Pardon? Did you hear what he said?
Okay, something that hinders them, also not coordinating with others.
Not coordinating with others. Why don't they coordinate?
That is, it may relate to discrimination.
Okay, thank you. Any other? A lady now.
Stigmatization from the society.
Stigmatization from the society.
People around them become controlling because they already know that they have a disability, so they want to control their lifestyles.
People around them are so controlling and defensive and protective. Thank you very much. Friends, I know we all understand the barriers faced by persons with disabilities in different sectors. When we come to reproductive health, for example, the challenge is big. But let's start. Number 1, we have categorized these barriers into a 4-lettered acronym called ACAP. A-C-A-P. Our letter A, the first one, stands for attitudinal barrier. Attitude is the way you think and believe about someone or something. When you look at someone with a disability coming to you, that first impression you get is called attitude. It is either positive or negative. When you are in a shop, I will give an example. I went to Kampala Road and I wanted to buy a smartphone. Now I reached there. When I reached at the entrance of those shops, the askari said, "No, you people namwe, you namwe mulimba. Omusajja tanaba nakola koya daka sente yakagulawo. You guys are also unfair." This early morning, it was 9 o'clock. Do you know what the man was meaning? The man has come to beg at 9. They have just opened, the guy has come to beg. Then I said, "My brother, what is your problem? You people temukirizibwa, you are not allowed here right now." Then one of those smiling ladies at the counter said, "What does he want? So I was like, by then, do you have a Galaxy A10s? Then they're like, Abimanyi, the guy knows. They're like, "Yes, we have it, but it's quite expensive." I said, "You're not talking. Expensive must have a figure." "Okay, it's as in kinda 750,000. What do they mean by thou? I also don't know. I said, "Oh, let me withdraw the money and I come back." So I went to the next shop and bought the same phone at 700,000. No, 750 actually. And then I put the phone in the pocket, Kampala, eh? Then I came back with a box of that same phone in the hand to that same shop. And I asked them, "Do you have the cover of this phone?" He said, "You went and bought the other side, but first we're going to give even at the discount." I said, "How much is your cover?" "Okay, as in we have the one of 10,000 and the one of 15,000. I said, "Oh, sorry, I wanted the flip." But you thought I knew what I was meaning by flip. Me, I just said it. So I moved back. I said, okay, let me come. I went and bought their same cover in the next shop. I came holding the same cover and a box. I said, do you have a screen guard of this phone? They said, hey, yeah, we have it actually. No, we have one of 10 and 15. I said, oh, sorry. I wanted the one of 5D. I can tell you, I don't think there's anything called 5D in screen guards. But me, I just said it. Why? Because they had showed me attitude, and it was negative. They lost approximately 780,000 shillings. Why? Because they looked at me as someone who has come to beg. So the first impression you get when you see someone with a disability is what we call attitude. When you see me and you say, yes, he can, then that is a positive attitude. When you look at me and you say, then that is negative. You see, in the villages there, I went and I was with the swag where these girls also grow in the village, and then I'm like, Mwanagwa, I love you, and she's like laughing on top of her voice, and so I came to Kampala and then picked up one, and after 3 years, I went to the village with her and met this one with 4 children, each their own dad, and are in the same age. You'd think they're twins. And I was like, hey, how are you? But nange long time. How are the kids? When they are fine, I picked my 20 painfully. And I said, please go and buy them some sugar. Painfully. Nange njagala kumulaga. Nteswaga katilili muchenda. We wande kasi wendi. Attitude. So, you might miss a business partner. You might miss a good peer. You might miss a good partner or a colleague just because you have a negative attitude towards persons with. We must change the mindset about persons with disabilities. When I was young, my mother told me I was a very handsome boy. Kati sobola kwewana bizibu bingi. I had black hair. So she was carrying me at the age of 2 years and had gone for burial. And one lady said, but God is unfair. I wish he just killed this boy. How can he make such a handsome boy blind? That was in 1993. Recently, when I went back in 2020, I was working with my mom, and the same lady met us and said, oh, my son, you have grown. How are you? I knew you would make it. I said, my son, I am here struggling. I said, oh, let's go. Come. Mommy, what is it? Let them, I don't have even sugar at home. I said, let them give you 2 kilos. I don't have soap, I said, 2 bars. Let them give them to you. But my dear, I said, let them give you 3 kilos. Do you know the swag I ate on 30,000? As in 30, kind of 30. Only. And they said, my son, I knew you would make it. I knew. People despised you. Me, I knew. As we went, my mother said, why did you even buy for those things? Now she wanted you to die. I said, mommy, don't worry. You forgive that woman. So I don't know if she has forgiven her, but once she forgives her, I will come back here and I tell you that now she has forgiven her. But that was 1993. Attitude. Our second letter is, so let's all change attitude and mindset towards persons with disabilities, because that is where inclusion starts from. Our second letter is communication barrier. If you invited Doreen here without an interpreter, she would face a communication barrier, because she won't be working with an interpreter and she will never know what you're saying. So we need to bridge the kind of communication barriers. If you invite me here to conduct this training without my Braille book or my computer or this little girl who doesn't want to be called the little girl, who is my PA, then I would have a barrier and I would not present perfectly. A barrier of communication. So all that is categorized under communication barrier. We have the accessibility barrier. I am happy at IUEA I saw a ramp as an opposite of the steps here. But if there were only steps, there would be what we call an accessibility barrier for someone using a wheelchair, because they would never access this building. So me and you, when we are organizing peer-to-peer sessions in our villages, let's be mindful about accessibility of the venues. Otherwise, you will keep saying that persons with disabilities get invited, but they don't come. Why? Because your venues are not accessible. Now, lastly is our letter P, participation or policy. Do you know that people can invite persons with disabilities to workshops, and then when they cut up their hands to speak, what are you going to speak? Just sit and listen after you sign your allowance and you go. And then they will say, yes, the person participated. We include persons with disabilities. They even participate in our workshops. They don't participate, they just represent. That is called representation and not participation. So if you go to your communities, ensure that persons with disabilities are participating fully. Meaningful participation means that even persons with disabilities can take decisions. They sit on decision-making bodies like anybody else, and there should be enabling policies. Let's break all these barriers. Friends, without barriers, there is no disability. As I speak right now, I only have my impairment because for it it's lifelong, but the disability has gone because I have all that it takes to conduct my work. So me and you have the duty to remove the barriers. And that's why we are here today. Now, lastly, and this is my last session that I want to have with you. It's about something. Do you all know that people have a mindset that persons with disabilities are hard to deal with? They are hard to deal with. Is it true? If it is true, then your mindset has not. The fact is, we are not hard to deal with. It is because people treat us disrespectfully. And possibly, they use what we call disrespectful language and terminology. I am sure you people have been there, and you've had people call other people, Gwemuzibe! I mean, don't I have a name? My son always teaches them at my home. Those women that come and say, Muzibe Oliotia, Muzibe, how are you? Then she's like, my dad is not called Muzibe, he's called Tata Ryan. So I am happy I have already a facilitator. I always give this example to my ladies, don't get offended. If God has ordained you with your body, and then someone comes and calls you, Gwemabina, how would you feel? Yes, you have it. How would you feel? Now there's a new word. You nyash. How would you feel? You would feel bad. Or they call you Gwebele. You the big breast one. How would you feel? Because that person has a name. Why would you call me Muzibe? Why would you call me Kasilu? Kasilu means stupid. Is Doreen stupid? Doreen is very brilliant. But you want to call them Kasilu. That is wrong. Someone will say, okay, how would we call you? And I would also ask you, if I didn't have this impairment, how would you call me? Nga other people, you call them sister, brother. Even those taxi men, I always tell them. Someone calls you and says, Muzibe jango tulewa, no Muzibe, come and sit here. So I ask them, what if these eyes were not blind? How would you call me? Because later you'll hear them call it, blaza, blaza, blaza. So why don't you also call me blaza? Now, when you find someone who's not informed like me, they will react and then you will say persons with disabilities are bad. At least for you people, you're now getting the information. So let's use respectful language. while talking to persons with disabilities. Let's avoid these other disrespectful terminologies that people use. And because of that, allow me to give you some tips while talking to persons with disabilities. So I have 6 minutes, and I think they are enough. I want to give you some etiquettes so that tomorrow when you're communicating to persons with disabilities, people feel, yes, we are respected. Bane, vibe echaliwo. Waliwo nakilia wala tewali tafasi ya detakabulu yonna, eh? Katusabule bajaja. Yeah, man. So, I want us to talk about some of the respectful terminologies that you need to look at while talking to persons with disabilities. And one of them is call a person with a disability by his or her name and not using his kind of impairment. You can only refer to my impairment when you're talking about something that positively impacts on me. For example, you can say, are you talking about Musa? Musa, the visually impaired person, but you first mentioned my name before. That one is okay, because even I hear people say, are you talking about Smaya, the brown girl? So that one is normal, but don't say, are you talking about Muzibe, that Muzibe one, or that blind one? No. First mention my name. So kotandika n'erinnya lyange buladi. Totandika na buziga bwange okitegeera waliona kiriya. Talk directly to the person with a disability and not his partner, companion, or personal assistant. From morning, people have been talking to Patricia. You tell him that time is over. You tell him that it is time to have breakfast. Why don't you tell me directly? Nga the other people you tell them directly. Why not me? You find people are talking to interpreters instead of talking to persons with hearing impairment themselves. What does that mean? Yes, the interpreter is the microphone, but the interpreter is not the one you're talking to. If you're talking to someone with a hearing impairment, you face them. Then let the person with the hearing impairment face the interpreter. Not you facing the interpreter and say, you tell her that we are going to eat food. By the way, when you say like that, even Olivia will interpret and say, you tell her that let us go for food. Because remember, Olivia is just a microphone. A microphone transmits what you say, right? So if you say, you tell her that we are now walking out, Olivia will also say, you tell her that we are now moving out. It's like your ear. Do you first tell your ear? You first tell the brain that we are now moving out. So talk to persons with disabilities directly. Fabamu tuchakalako. You go to governor, I'm just giving an example. And then you've gone with your babe. Then you know what these waiters do. They ask your babe, what is he gonna drink? But I'm the one going to pay. Why don't you ask me directly, what are you going to drink? Why should you ask my babe? Rachon juwinja buladi mwana. Rachon davisa waliona. Echegera mwana. So talk directly to persons with disabilities. Don't. By the way, if you talk to me, if you talk to my wife, I will box you because I will think, you're telling her something, maybe you want to take her away from me. So avoid those things. Use person first language. Person first language, what does that mean? Avoid words like disabled people. We are persons with disabilities. Before we got the disabilities, we were persons first. So use person first language. That's why I was saying, don't say, are you talking of the disabled Musa? No, are you talking about Musa, the one with the disability? I am first Musa. First see my abilities before my impairment. But when you say disabled people, you know what a disabled person is? it means the legs can't work, they're all disabled. Let me give an example of our old phones. If I remove the battery in the phone and the SIM card and the memory card, what have I done? Meaning the phone cannot do anything. When you call me disabled, what can't I do? Apart from the eyes, church na mwana. So avoid using that. Use person-first language. Begin with a person. Persons with visual impairment. Persons with hearing impairment. Not disabled people. Ask persons with disabilities which term they prefer to use while talking to them. Sometimes you go to a community and you're not sure of what term people prefer to be called. So it is better for you to ask, how would you want me to refer to you while communicating? It is always very good. When talking about people without disabilities, avoid words like, with the normal, for us the normal, we do things like this. But persons with, what is the opposite of normal? Abnormal. So am I abnormal? Mwananzenga nsaza mwana. Kati umpita abnormal mwana. Obondabisa. Ochitegera mwana jaja. So avoid some of those words. With the normal people, you can say we persons without disabilities. Don't even use with the ordinary. For us, we are not VIP, we are like you. Now, also do not disclose people's impairments, especially those that are invisible, if they have not consented. Or if someone has an intellectual impairment, do not disclose that Musa has an intellectual impairment without his consent. Maybe the person is trying to avoid some stigmas. Avoid the use of acronyms. We all know acronyms. Let's avoid the use of acronyms like PWDs, WWDs, YWDs, EWDs. Let's leave those ones to MISO, VISO, PISO, TISO, ISO, GISO, DISO. Let's leave those ones to those. But if you say PWDs and you say you're meaning persons with disabilities, stop reducing people to letters. We are not a letter, we are a person. You say PWD, I would think it's a new model of iPhone. Give a name. Maybe, Is it a new model of iPhone? Maybe iPhone 7 PWD? Or are we talking about Samsung Ultra 9 PWD? So I would think maybe you're talking about some device or some poisonous chemical. So avoid those acronyms. Avoid softened language. People with special abilities. Who told you? If you have a disability, you have a disability. But you people want to make us feel proud. Those are people with special abilities. Let me tell you something. I always move on a border. Sinatoka kufuna kagundi kanankani. Naye Katonda akaleta nchimanyi mwana buladi. Naye nzirusi sinatoka jifuna. But have you ever imagined? Okay, now I'm talking to people who have never rode a bike. I am talking to Mercy Patience. I am talking to Praise, among others, who have never had an opportunity to ride a bike. Have you ever imagined how we sit on a bike which has 2 wheels and then we move without falling? Have you ever imagined? Is that not a special ability? Because that border guy has a special ability of balancing so that we don't fall. So what difference are you making by calling me someone with a special ability? Because everybody here has their own special ability. That DJ there can spin the disc. I cannot spin the disc. The guy has his special ability. When you tell him DJ roll, he knows that you're saying reduce or Jaco. They say DJ wallan, he knows that you're saying reduce. Those are all special abilities. So everybody here has a special ability. Do not use it as a word to actually explain persons with disabilities. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave you with one message. Me and you have to change our mindset and view persons with disabilities at a positive level. Let's be sensitive while dealing and supporting groups of youth to ensure that persons with disabilities are not left behind. For God and my country, thank you for being a very wonderful audience. I can't wait to interact with you one-on-one. Thank you very much and see you once again.
Thanks very much, our facilitator Musa. Let's all combine our hands. We thank Musa as he is moving out. Abako, 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 Karamanda, Karamanda, Musa. So, thanks as we are having our next person.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, Happy New Year. Okay. Okay. So today we have a very special guest, okay? She's going to speak to us for only like 3 minutes, okay? So she's from ISEC. She's going to tell us what ISEC is. But they have a lot of opportunities, something to do with an exchange program in the United States and everything. So if you want to volunteer in the United States and Germany, please you pay as much attention as possible, okay? So I will just allow her to introduce herself. If what I have spoken is not true, she will clarify, and then we can take it from there. Thank you. Let's clap for her as she speaks to us.
Hello, also from my side. Thank you for having me here. I think most of the things were right. I don't have to clarify or rectify so many things. My name is Sarah, and I'm from ISEC. First of all, before being from Germany, I'm also just an ISECer. So yeah, thank you for having me here. The opportunities we have, Herman already talked about, is that we as ISEC provide leadership opportunities. We do this through different ways and programs. So on the one hand, we organize opportunities within the country, but especially what we do is we send people abroad. We send people abroad for volunteering and internship experiences. And let me just give you a brief idea, especially about the volunteering part, because our internships mainly target graduates with 3 years of working experience. If this also applies for you, you can reach out to us later on. What I want to go into right now for my 3 minutes is volunteering. So we give you the chance to go abroad for 6 to 8 weeks to volunteer with ISEC for a project that is aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So all our projects are about one of these goals. Very diverse projects we have about climate, about quality education, reduced inequalities, gender equality, good health and well-being. Very, very diverse. We have ISEC in more than 110 countries all over the world. We here mainly work within East Africa because it's just the most convenient travel destination, because you don't need a passport, you don't need a visa. You can just move there on a way lower budget than traveling somewhere overseas. So if you're interested in any of these opportunities, you're very welcome to check our website. It's isec.org. ISEC is spelled like you can, we can write it there. It's written for everyone who can still read it. It's very far. AIESEC.org. We will also write it here on the flip chart. We also have some flyers for who is interested. And I think you also have your communication channels where it will also be posted. So for everyone who's interested now, maybe you raise your hands and my colleague Sadat will hand you a flyer. He, for example, went on exchange himself last year to Tanzania. If you're interested in hearing more about his experience or my 2 experiences, I went with Isaac to volunteer. You can always, during breaks or after you're done with your program here, move down. We are at this, I don't know how to call it. Once you reach the balcony, once you slope down, you already see us standing there. So feel free to pass by if you have more questions. On this flyer and also here on this website, you just register and then we will reach out to you. So in case of any more questions that don't fit in my 3 minutes I have here, feel free to reach out to us outside there or later during or after signing up through isaac.org. Thank you so much.
Okay, to add on what Sarah is saying, there's a flyer here. We're going to take a photo and we're going to put it in the peer group. Are we all together? So it has like, if you have iPhone and just open your camera and you put it there. Hey! Not even iPhones, eh? I'm joking, okay. But if you can scan this, it will take you straight to the website. It has all the modules on how you can apply everything like that. They are here. The setup is, you see where the smart room was? The smart room was where we started from. Yes? So there, before you enter, there is a tent. And you can ask as many questions as possible. And they can guide you on how to apply, what is required, what is the criteria, and things like that. So these are opportunities that are going to be coming to you as you are at the Peer Educator Academy and all that. So please, we are posting this in the group. Endeavor to apply if you are interested. And I will also share Sarah's number in the group. Are we all together? I myself, I want to volunteer in the United States. So I will apply as... no, I'm joking. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. We shall keep in touch.
Perfect. Thank you for giving us the time and enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay.
I really love what you're doing here. It's
We have a special clap here that we give to our guest speakers. 3, 2, 1. Abako, 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 Caravanda, Caravanda, Sarah. This is a special clap for you. This is the love that they have for Isaac.
Thank you so much. I will reply with the things we have, which is the snapping, to not interrupt speakers while you still appreciate what they are saying while they speak. So yeah, thank you.
All right. Kalombolombo Katu said, yeah? So who wants to dance today? Maki? Who wants to dance? Lisa? Anyway, oboyagala obatoyagala, we are going to dance today. So as you write your kalombolombo, we are going to push the chairs to the back. Yeah? But that is after writing kalombolombo. Then we shall dance. Our trainer is already here. Simba. 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 The nobles. The nobles. The nobles. The nobles. The transformers. Simba. Simba. ASAP. ASAP. ASAP teyaze. Bajjeko wali. ASAP. Kale, tuwandika kalombolombo then tukube endingidi. Guys, let's use 5 minutes. We want to go at 1:30. Buchali, otiaye waka. Anyway, ffe twagala kumala ssaawa 7. Kalombolombo. Towakana. Oyagala kalemera. Praise. Make sure you get from everyone. Some people don't write. Bave mu line. Let's use 2 minutes to write kalombolombo, then tuzine. Si ekyo? DMX aliwa. Soko gya abantu bakulabe bayinza olowooza toliwo. Trainer wali. Omulabye trainer? Kalombolombo kange mukampe. Who kept our kalombolombo for yesterday? Abakasomye ku makya bani abakaina? Katusooke tumale ngenda kuwa opportunity tofaayo. Simba baliwo abamemba ba Simba. Praise the Lord. All right, if we are done writing, then let's push our seats to the back. Mutunulire kamera zafete muzitomera, if you're not dancing, sigala wo obede cheerleader. Kubanga tuyina ebirabo after. So togenda. Let's push the seats to the back. Hello. Let's push our seats to the back. We are backbenchers. Backbenchers musindiko butebe. Musindiko. Abo mukirashe? Bane temutwala bupapula bwange. Sina buba wako. Akagala jango kasabe. All right, let's push them to one side. The magazine is over here. So let us take a side here. To syndicate. To syndicate side here, no.